What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Show Bullet 8. Back, got another video for you all today. And this one is something that we've done a few different times here on the channel. Even during streams, we have all sorts of different conversations. And this video was actually sent to me because of some of those conversations and by someone that I have, I've had real life conversations about this specific topic. So we always tend to have the conversations during streams and things where we're talking about not just the differences between men and women, but how we interact with one another on a day-to-day basis and in relationships as a whole. And it's something that I talk to a lot of different people about, especially women and things like that. They ask me different questions because I like having that open conversation where you ask something, I'm going to give you a real answer about it. And this one specifically today comes from a woman who has 6 things that she believes women need to know about men. So understand, first and foremost, for the women who actually do watch this channel, young girls, different things like that, and guys alike, you're probably gonna say something like, well, what about when the men do, or what about the whatever. That's not the point here. Right now, we're going to react and watch this video pertaining to what she says, women need to know about men. So let's go ahead and hop into it. Hopefully everybody enjoys.
Hey guys. Okay, I posted an article recently called 6 Things Women Need to Know About Men. And it got a lot of response, so I thought I would take the time to do it in video form.
Hold on. I'm going to cut in right here, right now, because here's the thing. I can bet she got a ton of response on this. The overwhelming ideas that are being passed around nowadays as far as dating goes, and even people's marriages and things like that, it's getting out of hand how distant we've actually become as far as being able to be in successful relationships on some level. And when I say that, I don't mean that it has to be like a forever sort of situation, but some of the most basic things are just completely forgotten or thrown out the window.
Women need to know about men. Number 1, men are easy to please and quick to forgive. This is important, especially when it comes to conflict. Yeah. Understanding that men have very few needs. They're simple, as in not stupid the way the media would have you believe, but simple as in they have far fewer needs than we women do. What they want most of all is respect, first and foremost, companionship, affection, appreciation, support.
She is not, first point, ding. She is not wrong at all. Not wrong at all. Think about it, all right? You have to understand, a lot of times, like these things that get talked about online, and even what I'm sitting here reviewing or reacting to, and what I'm saying at this point, you have to think about it from this standpoint. Ladies, please understand that we take something a greater deal of times, look at it and says, okay, you know what? I might have been wrong here. They might have been wrong here, but I think we came to a good enough resolution, and bam, it's done. It's over. I'm through with that situation at this point. And that actually goes on, throughout the course of a relationship and even into the next relationship. We tend to not try to drag other things from the past in. We will learn a lesson from whatever was before and be like, okay, that's over with, and I'm not going to go ahead and put this on the next person or anything like that. And one of the most important things that she said right there is that one of the biggest things that we want is respect over love, honestly, at times. And the reason I say that is there's a vast gap between what respect and love is, or what it can be in most people's mindsets. Love, in a greater deal of sense, is emotion, and sometimes on a physical nature, of the physical nature, or on the things that someone gives you. Like, you can love someone and you can hate someone. Hate typically rules over love, but if you have respect for that individual, you can love someone and you can hate someone. You can't hate and love them, but you can hate and respect an individual, and you can love and respect an individual. And the bigger thing that men typically go for is the respect factor over anything else. And everything else she said afterward is dead ass correct too, but I'm gonna let her keep going.
I mean, that's kind of it in a nutshell. And so respect, here's what respect looks like, because a lot of people really have asked me, like, what does it look like to respect a man? Which is really horrible and sad, because that means they haven't really seen it in action enough to even recognize it. But anyway, here it is. Number one, the most important thing, this may not come to mind first and foremost, but it's bigger than you think. Listening. Just listening. Not interrupting, not over talking, not interjecting, not any of those things. Just sitting there and listening. You're actually saying a lot when you're saying nothing.
Well,
let me say that again. You're actually saying a lot when you're saying nothing. He reads that as respect, which it is, because you're taking in what he's saying rather than thinking of what you're going to say in response. And that goes very, 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 very far with a man. Another thing that I have to remind people of, because it's really, really easy to forget when you've been married a long time, especially, is the power of affection. And when I'm talking about affection here, I'm not talking about sex, although obviously that's also important.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about non-sexual affection. Whether it's touching his head, putting your hand on his, just touching him in any way, hugging him, kissing him.
A lot of women think of it, the power of touch.
Sexual affection. And really the best way to get into the headspace of that is to think about what you probably...
Hold up. See, so that whole thing right there, no, that's very real. Like, yeah, a lot of women are always asked, like, well, does a guy really want his girl to be under him all the time? It's not about that. Nah. There's a comedian who made a joke about it. He said something along the lines of, as long as I know you there, like a cat. If I call, hey baby, and you say, hey baby, from the other room, whatever, I know you're there. That's what it is. But when it comes to that whole power of the touching and everything else, think about the things that you did when you first started dating. That tends to fall away when you're actually together, living together in the house, or whether you're married or just in a relationship or whatever. You used to actually come over, grab, touch a dude, whatever. Your dude would always grab you, smack you on the butt, and you kind of let that fade away, or all of a sudden it becomes a thing of, don't stop doing that, whatever. It's like, wait a minute, where the fuck did that person go? It becomes a really almost challenging sort of situation, to where it's like, wait, so now all of a sudden I can't be playful with you in that manner, or you don't come and do those same things, or just like hit me up and say, hey babe, how you doing, or whatever. Because the mental checkup situation, when it comes to a guy, we may not come out and be like, oh, this is everything that's going on or going wrong in life or whatever, because the fact is, vulnerable. Why can I not say the word right now? The fact is that vulnerability, in a greater deal of times, is looked at as weakness. And we've been taught that kind of our whole entire lives. And in fact, we can express certain things to a woman, but you don't want to hear your man coming and complaining and being vulnerable all the time, because that really does look weak to a greater deal of women. And there's a great deal of women who will tell you that exact thing. But to come to you and tell you certain things, like to come and sit down and talk to you about, what's going on in our day, which leads back to her listen part, It's us like expressing the fact that we want you to understand what's going on. We don't necessarily need, we don't expect you to fix it. In fact, it's more so our thing that we want to fix what's going on with you. So when we come and ask you, hey, you all right? What's going on? That's our way of being, protector and provider at that point as well, because we want to hear what's up with you and we want to go ahead and attempt to help you, get through that path. We'll listen. We'll shut the fuck up and listen and chill. But the fact is, you also have to think that men typically, our biggest thing is to fix things. And one of the things that a lot of women will look to a man for is how to resolve a situation. But in our case, it's more of a thing that we don't want you to necessarily resolve it. But if we do ask, hey, I need your input on this, then it's our way of showing a sign of respect to you. Even if it comes to our work, when we do certain work and we're like, hey, babe, take a look at this. Tell me what you think. We're asking you that, even though we know how we feel about it. We've done the best work that we possibly could. But because we respect your ideas and respect you as a part of our life and want to hear your ideas, we'll ask you those types of things. But going back to the whole touch situation, yeah, we don't need you under us all the fucking time, but it is a situation. Please don't lose that whole playfulness, that whole touchy, walk up in the kitchen, slap you on the cheek, something like that, or you come in and just like, hug your dude, wrap your arms around him, simple shit like that. It'll get you far, honestly.
Probably did. If you have a son, or you can imagine you would do if you had a son and you see him at the end of his first grade day or whatever, and what's the thing you're going to do naturally is to run up and
Mama
hug him
always
and kiss him
runs up and hugs you and shit. Yeah,
let him
they
know
smile
that you
on
missed
their
him.
face, right?
Well, the vast majority of boys,
but you're not our mamas,
have somebody waiting for them, and that person at the end of the day, and that person is almost always mom, and they're raised on a steady diet of attention and affection from the number one woman,
which you become when we get in that relationship.
That number one woman become when they get older? His wife or his significant other.
Yeah,
also
girlfriend. Yeah.
Obviously, I'm talking about heterosexual relationships here, but at any rate, that
it's crazy she had to point that out, but I get it.
What they associate with and respond to. So if you probably did a lot of that when you were first dating, but when time goes on and life gets in the way, we forget the significance of just those really small physical gestures.
Those small moments,
they empower and lift up your man.
And promise,
number 2,
if your man feels empowered, that motherfucker is gonna go through lengths and leaps and bounds to do whatever he can to, bring happiness to you. And because the fact is, like, everybody always says that whole happy wife, happy life situation. No, like, happy house, happy spouse. First off, individuals have to make themselves happy as a whole when it comes to life, understanding themselves and everything else. But that happiness that you bring to each other when you're interacting in that way is something different, and it's like something huge for a guy. It's one of those things where it's like, all right, my woman make me feel this kind of way, I'm gonna make sure like she is in there, she's taken care of, we're gonna do shit together and everything else, as long as she doesn't like turn down every action that I'm attempting to bring to her, going out, doing trips, different things like that, those activities.
Men live to see the woman they love happy.
Bruh.
That's it. That's all they want. Which means if you're negative and downer and a downer, or complaining or moaning or nagging, you are sucking the life out of him. When you're happy and smiling and generating positive energy, you are emboldening him. And keep in mind, this isn't all just to accommodate him.
It's
This
not
is
just
also,
about, it's
this
about
comes
you
back
too.
to
Yep.
you, because you get the best of him, so that you're not frustrated with why is he not being this or why is he not being that. Very often it's because of what you're bringing to the table is sucking that out of him, and you have the power to lift it up. That's why these 6 things are so important. Easy to please and quick to forgive. Men live to see the woman they love happy. Number 3.
Okay, wait. I got to jump on that point right there. No joke, for real. Like, understand, when you get into a relationship, like when it's like, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and do this. You know, we gonna be together. We in this relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, leads later on to husband, wife, different things like that. You have to understand that men will work their fucking asses off. Like, I mean, men who were brought up a certain way, everything else, when you want to think of it as the old way, whatever, it's typically what women still want now to this day. We will work our asses off in order to make ourselves what we believe is a better individual or a better man, which typically ties to what we do, the amount of money we make, how much we can provide, how much, the lengths we would actually, go to in order to make or help our relationship work. There's no end to it. In fact, the reason why a great deal of men start businesses and things like that, the reason why a great deal of men want to step outside of, their old party lifestyle and just being out and doing whatever the fuck it is that they want at any point in time is because of the women that they end up with. And the reason for that is because now we see you as a person who is now the most important woman in our lives. And in order to make sure that you are protected, provided for, different things like that, we will do whatever we can, because that woman, that most important woman in our life, we always want to see you happy, smiling, whatever. It's not to say that you're not going to have bad days or bad moments or anything else like that. That's perfectly fine. In fact, we understand that. And a greater deal of time, this is where it goes back to, we are quick to forgive. You get into an argument, whatever, in the night, you're upset, and you look at the guy, you're like, you don't even care. No. It's not that I don't care. It's the fact that I've gotten over it already. In fact, I wish you would, and I understand that you're probably not going to at this point in time, and that's fine. But you know what? When you are over it, I'm already over it. We can go on about our days. And yeah, it may seem, unemotional to you, but that's because a greater deal of times, like guys, when we jump into that emotion, then we have to stop and say, hold on, bring the logic out, because if I stick in emotion land, well, I'm going to say or do some shit that's way out of bounds, because we are thinking from the terms of more, if you must call it animalistic, then so be it. We deal with men completely different than we deal with women. But to see you happy, as long as you will allow us to do the things to try and, keep you happy, then we're good with it. But sometimes women will not allow men to do those things. In fact, it becomes a problem. You work too much, so on and so forth. Well, how do we take care of everything? How do we pay for things? But then when you don't have the money to take care of certain bills and things like that, now all of a sudden, what are you doing? It's almost like this double-edged sword that comes out to play when you're dealing with women a lot of times, or at least that's how, men can perceive it. But anyway, back to the video, because I can go on and on and on, but that might be something we have to talk about at a later point in time.
Men don't like to fight with women.
Hell no.
I did a whole video on this some months back. They are not cut out to fight with women. They're not cut out for emotional warfare. They'll fight a man without a problem, but they're not interested or adept at fighting with a woman, which is why they're always stuck between, wanting to please you, but also needing to do right by you. It's a very difficult position to be in for a man. Very. Because at his core,
Extremely.
he doesn't want to fight. Okay.
Yeah. So that goes back to what I said. Like, I know we know, a lot of us were taught, never hit a woman, don't do this, don't hurt her feelings, so on. But we know, like, we can say certain things that will bring out the worst emotions in you all. In women, we can bring out the worst emotions. We cry. We don't want to do it. We don't like doing it. In fact, when you get into an argument with a woman, that's why a lot of men tend to actually just be like, okay, all right, I'm not going to say shit. Leave me alone. Like, for real, leave me alone. It's not so much that we don't want to have the conversation with you. We don't want to have an argument with you, because that argument will grow into something way worse. And like you said, we'll fight a man. We'll like get into it with a man in a heartbeat, because as guys, we understand something. You say something and you go out of bounds with what it is that you're saying. Well, guess what? Now you got to throw hands, and you better have hands, because I'm telling you, it'll get messy. And even in the end of that, it's one of those things where, look, for the most part, grown ass men, we're not talking about the young ass kids who want to go out and just like start dumb shit just cause, or want to go too far with it. But if you get into a fight with another dude, it's like, hey, never let that shit happen again. You don't even have to say it. They understand. Don't let that shit happen again. And you walk away from it. Shit, in some cases, motherfuckers just shake hands. Guys who are friends. I've had a couple of guy friends who we are out, and we have like some discussions. And there's at times there's always that one individual who wants to say things that everybody else looks like, why are you being ignorant? Or wants to push bounds and thinks that they understand something that they have no clue about. And I actually saw it to where two of these guys, we're all having this conversation. They get into it to the extent to where one gets mad, so of course the other gets mad. This argument ensues, and everybody else is like, chill the fuck out, stop it. Well, one felt offended. What happens when one feels offended? They go off and offend the other man, and guess what? They went out through hands. Somebody got knocked the fuck out.
You got knocked the fuck out!
Like, straight up. A couple days later, we were all out again. It was over. It was done with. It was discussed. All right, cool, bro. That's it. But when it comes to women, there's a line that we can't cross. We see that we can't cross. Some dudes don't give a fuck because, with the way that shit is nowadays, like, well, equal this, equal that. Well, them dudes are like, well, guess what? You want that? You want that to be equal? These hands gonna be equally on your ass too. But for the most part, we don't want to go. We don't want to go through that. It's not something that we want to do. It's something that we were taught we should never do, and we hold to that. But at the same time, we do not want to fucking argue, because the emotions that come out of it get way ridiculous. In fact, we prefer to try and have a more logical conversation, get to the root of the problem, and guess what? Try to fix it. Anyway.
Number four, a man's identity is inextricably linked to his need and desire to provide and protect. Which means if you are usurping his ability to do this, you're going to have problems in your marriage.
Relationship,
and what I
whatever.
mean by that is, it's not so much about who makes more, although that matters. It's more about how are you handling that money that you are making, and how are you handling the budget, assuming you even have one, together as a team. And if you are, for example, spending more than he's able to earn, or disagreeing with each other, or deciding on something and then not sticking to it, anything that's undermining his ability
oh
to
my
provide
God, she
is
ain't
going
even
to
lying.
deflate him, and you're going to have marital problems. The number one most important thing you can do is let him stay in a position to be your hero and to be your provider.
Hey, she ain't even lying about that. Like, when we talk about like providing and things like that, it's more than just like the money that's brought in to take care of the bills or the home or anything else like that. Because look, first off, if a guy is willing to take care of everything, you're just in a relationship and he's doing that and everything else, but you come to him and say, hey, you know what? I don't want to have things hung over my head. I want to do 50-50, whatever. That what happens is he's going to agree with you just to not get into an argument because of the whole, whether it's a thing he's looking at it. Well, you know what? I'm not going to step on her toes. She wants to feel strong and independent or whatever, or, part of a partnership. Well, the partnership situation really doesn't exist. It almost, it's a thing like your partner's on a level of certain things, but someone has to lead within the situation. When it comes to that, he's going to say, all right, cool. You know what? We can do that. But inside of him, he's like, what the fuck? Look, this is what I'm supposed to do. And then what happens later on in some cases where all of a sudden you're like, well, you're supposed to be the provider and you're supposed to do this, that, and the other. Well, guess what? You came out and you said you wanted to split things 50-50. Now, here comes an argument that the guy really doesn't want to have, but he kind of has to because the illogical mess that's been created from you not understanding how strict men are with their word, that respect situation. We respected you enough to go and step into this world of, okay, fine, I'll do the 50-50 thing with you. But now all of a sudden it's a problem. The same thing goes when it comes to, as she said, doing, what it is that you said you were going to do. So if he plans a trip, that's part of providing. That's to say, hey, you know what? We're going to get out. We're going to do something together. You can't break those plans. Now he's taking the time to put this together, has money, pays for it. You break it because of your work or whatever the case may be, that he may not feel is very important. And here's what I'm going to say about that. I understand some of y'all are probably going to get mad by me saying that. You guys seem to think that we care about the amount of money you make. We don't. We don't give a fuck. In fact, here's the thing. We understand. My money is our money. Your money doesn't mean a fucking thing to me. You know why? Because I'm not spending your money. I'm not spending your money. So the amount of money you make really doesn't matter to a man. Your education doesn't really matter to a man. All those different things. To have it, hey, good. That's great. But we don't give a damn because it's not what makes us love and respect you. It's just not. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to keep this going here.
Even if you earn money. And there are a lot of, little tricks to that. I'm not going to get into all that right now, but that's at the core of so many marital problems, is that the ability to provide and be their woman's hero has been completely stripped from them. And it's very hard for them to step in and overpower you, going back to that whole
not wanting to fight with you,
not wanting you to be happy, not wanting to fight with you.
Bam.
And that's where things get very complicated. When he's in charge of his own, when he has agency over what he brings to the table, he's emboldened. And if that's stripped from him, he just sort of gives up. And that's when
she was talking about the finances, I remember a time where it was like, Dad, just bring the check home to Mom.
Your man will not come right out and tell you when he's unhappy. So you're going to have to read the signs. Men are action oriented. They're not going to come sit down and say, I want to talk. Let's talk about our marriage. I mean, that just does not happen. In fact, if you say that, he's going to brace himself for something he doesn't want to do. So he's not going to bring this to your attention, but he's going to act out in a way that's going to let you know what he's feeling. So you have to really know your husband or your man and really read him. Read the signs, because his behaviors will show you if he's not happy. And then when he does, I'm not saying he never would tell you. Oftentimes men do tell their wives
over the course of time, and
they're not heard,
not hearing
and then
it.
they just give up. So because they speak so much less than we do, it's important that when they do speak, that you really hear them. Don't just dismiss it as a nothing, because it's very likely not a nothing.
Facts. We're typically the stoic ones in a relationship. We're typically the ones who, keep our and try to keep our emotions in check or our feelings within, and just go about what we know we have to do or feel we have to do on a day-to-day basis. And it's a thing that it's not, again, so much of a thing that we don't want to share with you. No, we do. But are you really hearing what we're saying sometimes? And then the other part of it is, it's not necessarily that it's so much against you as to more so what you may be going through as a woman on a day-to-day. And when it comes down to us changing to some extent, it's usually based off the mood that you put out. Not to say that your mood is foul or whatever, but it goes back to that whole thing of, if you're upset, we don't want to fight with you. So kind of let it move around a certain way or whatever. But then it starts affecting the guy. And then it's like, holy shit, now you're in the house where I'm up and just walking around on eggshells, or, I don't know, just the sexual relations are like, few and far in between, different things like that. I can tell you of a situation where, knowing that individual had like certain past issues and what do I want to call it? Emotional damage.
Emotional damage.
Things of that nature, knowing that someone had those types of things, as well as, they put the relationship they were in jeopardy due to the fact that they didn't understand how to not take everyone's outside view, whether it was their friends who were single or family members who didn't necessarily give them the best outlook on life and what a relationship was, as well as the past relationships, which were just very damaging, to the extent of, one was a semi-abusive marriage and things like that. The other was, individual who just walked out of, their child's life. And then to get into a relationship with another individual, it became a thing where all of her moods and everything else was kind of pushed on, the guy at that point. And he took it and he was fine and everything else, or he thought he was fine. And then they would have what he thought were conversations and what she saw as arguments. And it's a really hard thing, because then it becomes the situation where, bam, all right, we can't have these conversations because, it's hurting the woman in an emotional way. And all of the different things that are going on a day-to-day life where, she quits a job that there was no necessity to quit or anything like that. But now he's stuck in a situation where, she said she wanted this, but I want to do this. But if I do that, it becomes that thing of, he doesn't know what action to take, trying to respect her bounds. The problem with it is, though, he just has to go ahead and say, look, I don't give a damn. I have to push your feelings aside or whatever in this situation and kind of take over. Well, going to what she was saying, when it comes down to it, the individual figured, okay, we can deal with this and work it out. Maybe she'll come in and tell me what it is she needs or whatever, but I'm not going to say anything. I'm not doing this whole fucking, we have a problem with the relationship, because to a guy at times it may seem weak. Whereas she might have actually needed to know that. But because of all of the other things that she had put out there, the whole energy to the relationship kind of, goes to shit. And now he's taking on all of her emotional baggage and damage and everything else and kind of holding it in. But his attitudes sort of, not even his attitude, but his energy and everything else has changed to go along with that. And she's wondering it's so crazy. She's wondering what the hell's going on with him. He's wondering what the fuck is wrong with her. And then a conversation ensues that blows into an argument. And that's the thing. What she's saying here is a guy will never just come out and be like, we need to have this conversation or anything like, no. We give you along the way conversation saying, hey, I don't like this. I don't want this. I don't want to, deal with this, and this. Or it would be better if we dealt with things this way. Or, hey, I'm not this individual. Or, hey, why don't you try this? And because of the fact that decided not to listen to him, or the same thing happens over and over again, he's just like, all right, I'm fucking done saying it. He loves you and he doesn't want to argue and fight with you. And that's where you get to that point.
Number 6, last one. Men respond to sweet talk and bottom lines. So, better way of putting that is, let's see, really, really sweet, really, really nice, really, really kind. Cute doesn't hurt either. Playful doesn't hurt either. But getting to the point as well. So the combination of being cute and fun and sweet and kind and getting to the point is hugely important. If you go on and on and on, you're going to lose him. Figure out what you want to say. Write it out if you have to. Come up with 1 or 2 sentences and get it out. And just end of story. Don't go on and on with it. He will hear you. The moment you start going on and on, you've lost him. Sweet talk and bottom lines. So there you go. 6 things.
Okay. All right. So that last point there, yeah, I mean, getting to the point a greater deal of times is like, just what we want, and there's a way to say it too. Like a guy, when he says something, tries to have tact and if he understands how it can be an emotional situation for a woman, they'll try to make it a point to say it in a tactful manner, but still very direct. And the thing about it is, though, it may come off a little bit harsh because, guys are very direct. Now, when talking to a guy, if it's a poke and push and nag and prod sort of situation, we kind of just shut the hell down. But when you come to us as the woman that, we were dating or that we've been with throughout time and whatever the case may be, and you come with a very playful and sweet sort of voice behind it. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm like gonna just brown nosed all the way up in that ass to try and make this point to you. No, it's a matter of, hey, listen, babe, bam, here it is. Okay, cool, we get it. That's it. Don't need to hear it twice. Don't need to hear it thrice. Yeah, whatever. All right. Don't need a hour-long explanation of it. Just, babe, hey, there. All right, cool. And you may end up in a conversation about it, and that's fine. But don't take the conversation as an argument, though. All right. But anyway, so yeah, I don't know. You gotta tell me what you thought of her 6 points that she made as far as the things that she believes women need to know about men. I think that pretty much on all 6 of them, she was pretty damn correct on it. It's a hard thing at times, I think, for people to listen to stuff like that, especially nowadays, because they want to believe that all the stuff that they see on social media and all these other places are what's generally correct when it comes to, well, I can be a boss and be my own, and I don't need a man, or the idea that somebody's supposed to be living the Instagram life or the Twitter life, I don't know, the OnlyFans, I don't know, whatever. All of those things that are not realistic. This was a very realistic idea as to the way men work. The media would make you believe that men are these evil and mean demons who want to just control and take the power away from their women and everything else. No, it's not that. I mean, one of the best points that she made in there is that your man will do anything for you to make you happy, to see you happy. It's very true. But anyway, so that's that for this one right here. Like I said, please go ahead and leave your thoughts and ideas on this. Was there something that she missed? Was there something that you think would that women might want to know? Or women, please tell us what you thought about this video. Whether there were some points that she might have missed, or did you agree with her or not? I mean, I want to hear it from all sides. That's the thing about conversation, is that it's supposed to come from all sides, but always remembering that there's fact and there's your opinion or your feelings. Yeah, that's just the way it is. Please go ahead and like this video, leave the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I will bring you more. I always say we, I'm still in the mindset of I was doing this with others at some point, but please like the video, subscribe. I'll bring you more content like this, plus all the other stuff that y'all love to see, with us gaming and just having a good time. And I am working on the history of video games part 2 right now to try and get that out there for you all. And share the videos too, because that really does help as well. Hey, as always, it's always fun. Thanks for watching. I'm the Shell Bullet 8, but for now, I'm out.